Alright, let's get this show started. What's up, guys? It's your boy Chris. So, funny story. I posted a clip to my YouTube channel just because I wanted to send it to a friend. I couldn't send it through text or through PS messages because the video was too long. So my only thought was, let me just upload it to YouTube real quick and then send it to him. Send him the link, right? Well, the video ended up getting, close to, I think so far, almost 1,000 views. It's at like 920 something. And a lot of you actually have been commenting for a build video. Um, so I figured, hey, let me go ahead and make a build video for these guys and, just kind of give them ideas to play around with the build. Um, You can obviously tweak it to your own likings. You can try different skills. You can try different pieces, which I'll kind of dive into here in a second. So this build is a way for you guys to just, I guess it's like a blueprint, right? Of course, there's a bunch of other YouTube creators on the platform. Obviously, I get some of my ideas from those videos, right? Which is what I did to create this build. But to make a long story short, this is the build I was using in my last video. So keep in mind, those players, they weren't the best PvP players, you could tell. No shade to you guys if you happen to see this video, but um, you know, but me and my cousin who I was running with at the time, and you could hear me talking to him. Obviously, you just can't hear his voice, but we fought many teams with this build, and we've gone manhunt many times. So this is a viable build, at least for me, right? Everybody, you have your own opinions. Everybody to each their own, right? This is what works for me. Um, so let's dive into it. So obviously, first thing, specialization I'm using is technician. Obviously, the only reason I like using this is for that extra skill tier, just to kind of give my skills a extra little tiny bump. Obviously, you can use whatever. Some people like to use gunner for the ammo. Some people like to use firewall for the shield and the shield mods. Some people like to use, demolition. Everybody has a preference, right? Me personally, I use technician because I like the +1 skill tier, just to give my skills that extra little bump. And if you notice, I'm running 5 blues, so that skill tier bumps my shield tier to 6, which obviously is the max. Besides overcharge, right? Um, Obviously, the weapons. I have my Lexington, fully maxed with the talent Sadist. This particular talent amplifies weapon damage by 30% to bleeding enemies. After 4 kills, applies bleed to the next enemy hit. So long story short, I'll dive into why I have this talent here in a second. But my other weapon, of course, is the Pestilence. Very nice gun. A lot of people use this. With all their builds really, mainly for the talent. Obviously hit supply debuff, dealing 100% weapon damage over 10 seconds, stacks up to 50 times. Whenever an enemy dies with this debuff, 100% of the stacks are transferred to the nearby enemy within 25 meters. So very good gun for PvE and PvP, especially if you're rocking a particular like LMG style build. Definitely one of the better ones in the game. As of right now, I feel like it's gonna get nerfed eventually, but I mean, who knows? The game's so old, the devs kind of just gave up on the damn game. Time will tell, right? Time will tell. Um, all right. So to start, if you notice my build, so I'm running 3 Gilligard and 2 Golan. The reason for that is your talents on your Gilligard. You have 2% armor regen with the 3-piece, and then of course your Golan gives you 1.5 with the 2-piece. Um, Now, this particular armor regen build, it's a combination of armor regen and bleed. Obviously, you can maximize your armor regen by swapping your chest piece out to, for example, you could do Bellstone Armory, and the first little thing it gives you is +1 armor regen, right? And then you can roll it to blue and kind of make yourself a little bit tankier. Another thing you could do is if you have the named knee pads, I don't have them in my inventory, but here, let me show you. If you have the named knee pads, the Emperor's Guard, where are they? These give you +1 armor regen. The only thing is I don't have these with the blue core. I only have it with the yellow +1. Um, so you could even run that, swap your chest piece out, for a Gila, put those on, and now you have 2% from Gila Guard, the extra 1% and from the Emperor's Guard, and then of course the 1.5 from the Golem. So you can play around with this build very, very, in many different ways. Uh, Me personally, I've tested the all blues. I've tested the Bellstone for the extra 1%. Now, one thing I do want to say, if you have a Ninja Bike bag, which I don't have yet, that probably would be the best piece for this build because you can now maximize different stacks, right? So you could run like two Golem and get the three. Then you can run Gila, I'm sorry, two Gila and get the three piece bonus. Then you can run, for example, uh, so let me give you guys an example. Hypothetically, right? Picture a Ninja Bike bag here. You could run two Gila and get the 2%. Then you could run, for example, one Golem here and get the 1.5. Then you can run, um, what's it called? Then you could run the Bellstone Armory to get the 1%. You'll get the 2 stack, but you could get the 1% here. Then you could run, for example, like the Emperor's Guard knee pads and get the extra 1% from there. I mean, there's so many ways you can play with the build and synergize and everything. But enough of that. Let me explain why I like this build. So, of course, all my pieces are rolled to blue, and some of them are max armor, some of them are not. Bear with me, guys. I just came back to the game after like 5, 6 years of not playing. I will eventually get there, right? Um, but yeah, so all your pieces you want armor, preferably max, and then you want armor regen on all your builds. For the second attribute, you can run like crit damage or crit chance, or even headshot damage, kind of cater to how you play your play style, right? Um, like on most of my pieces, I have obviously the chest pieces are red, so I have like all crit chance, crit damage mod. The gloves, of course, armor regen, crit damage. Knee pads, I don't have knee pads with crit chance or crit damage, but they do have armor regen. This was the only piece I had, so I rocked with it. My backpack, of course, it's the named backpack with Perfectly Wicked. I'll get to that in a second. Armor regen, and then of course a crit damage mod. Preferably, if you can find this named backpack with armor regen already on it, you could roll status effects, if I'm not mistaken, to crit chance or crit damage. I might be wrong on that because it's a named backpack, but you get the idea, right? Um, so yeah, 3 Gila obviously gives you 2% armor regen, plus your armor regen blue rolled on everything. Then of course your 2 Golem, which gives you 1.5. So we're sitting at 3.5% armor regen. Now, the chest piece, the reason I like this chest piece, so the talent on it, I'm a fan of Bleed. So if you've ever played Division 1, you know about the gear set Predator's Mark. That was my favorite gear set. The reason I love Bleed so much in this game, some people call it cheesy, whatever, man, right? To each their own. I'm gonna play how I play. Half the time, y'all teaming up 4v1 against people, it's whatever. But the reason I like this chest piece is because the Bleed, right? Now, the downside is it only applies bleed to enemies if they are 15 meters away from you, or within 15 meters, I'm sorry. If they are past 15 meters, they will not get applied bleed unless they're you kill 4 people and you have, they're your fifth person, right? Um, Now going back, so I like the bleed for two reasons. One, it darkens their screen, so it's more of like a nuisance really when you're fighting people. Which obviously I love because it kind of throws them off. They start kind of rolling around everywhere. The second reason is obviously with the bleed. One thing I hate about the dark zone, I absolutely hate since Division 1, is when you start fighting somebody, they realize how overpowered you are, and they try to run away from you. And now you're spending your whole time chasing them all through the dark zone just to get the kill. I hate runners. Bleed slows them down because they cannot run with bleed, applied to them. Um, so if you see me in the dark zone, you know, don't attempt to fight unless you want to finish it because I will hunt you down till either I die or you die. Um, the third reason why I like this particular chess piece is the talent, Bleeding Edge. So shooting enemies within 15 meters applies bleed to the target. Repair 3 to 48% of your armor per second for every enemy that is bleeding within 15 meters. Repair strength per number of bleeding enemies. So if you put one enemy on bleed, that's 3%. Remember, your build is an armor regen build. You're already sitting at 3.5% with armor regen rolled on all your pieces. So the minute you apply bleed to one person, you're at 3% plus your 3.5 from your gear set. So now you're sitting at 6.5, right? Two enemies, 6%, three enemies, 12%, four enemies, 24%, and five enemies, 48%. So very good backpack, especially good for crowd control. If you run the talent Creeping Death on your backpack. I personally like to run Perfectly Wicked because it amplifies your weapon damage by 18%. So remember, you're getting 18% from your backpack. You're getting 30% from your talent on your gun. So we're sitting at 48% amplified damage. On top of, once you put them on bleed, you're at 6.5% armor regen, right? Now, this obviously is my DPS variant of this build because of Perfectly Wicked, and most of the time I'm in a 1v1 fight with people in the dark zone, or I have a group and then one person will push me at a time, which is a wrong move to make. You want to push all together, but for some reason somebody in the group's always feeling brave and they decide to push you by themselves. Um, so yeah, the minute you apply bleed is 6.5% with all your pieces. Um, if you want a little bit more crowd control and you want to sacrifice a little bit of DPS, you can swap a backpack with Wicked to a backpack that has, for example, Creeping Death, because this talent is when you apply a status effect, it is also applied to all enemies within 8 meters of your target. So let's say you run up on a group of enemies in a landmark, and the minute they're bunched up. The minute you apply bleed to one, it spreads. So remember, let's say there's 5 enemies in a group. The bleed spreads to all 5. You're getting 48% armor regen while the bleed, is in effect. Um, so very good for survivability. Very, very nice. Very, very nice. Me, obviously, I like running Wicked just because I only have one red core, so I am lacking in damage here. So that 18% paired with the 30% do help tremendously for damage output. Obviously, there's better talent you can run here and a better talent you can run here. Some people like to run, for example, like Vigilance. Some people here like to run Obliterate. Some people like to run Adrenaline Rush for bonus armor if you're feeling, you want to get even tankier. If you have this exotic chest piece, you can run this and be more tanky for you and your team. Because this one essentially works kind of like Unbreakable, where when your armor breaks or your allies' armor breaks, they gain 80% of your armor as bonus armor for 10 seconds. And we're sitting at 1.7 right now as the build sits, or 1.9 if obviously you put this on, right? So there's so many ways you can play around with this build, guys. Um, Me personally, the reason I like to run the scanner is because, and if you notice, I have the Night Watcher named mask. It gives me 100% scanner pulse haste, which brings my cooldown to 8.8 seconds. The reason I like to run scanner is obviously in the dark zone. I like to be aware of my surroundings, right? I like to see what enemies are around me, if there's players around me, how many players are around me, if there's players trying to stalk me, things like that. Now, if a player is running 100% pulse resistance, this obviously does nothing, which is where, obviously I like the bleed because you still get the damage. That's another, I'm thinking of another build, I'm sorry. Ignore all that. 8-second pulse obviously works perfect in the dark zone for being aware of everything that's around you. Now, obviously that's the skills. It doesn't matter what skills you use with this build. So you can use, like, some people like to use the decoy, which I love on my other build. Some people like to use the stinger hive just because it also applies bleed, which would amplify your weapon damage, and give you amplified damage for the wicked talent. So you can use whatever skills you want. There's not necessarily a specific one you have to use on this build. A lot of people ask me, why are you using the big shield? The reason I have the big shield out is for when I'm doing PvE. If I get overwhelmed, I'll pull the shield out and allow my armor regen to regenerate, to full before I get back into the fight, right? And these are for times if I just find myself overwhelmed by enemies, or even in PvP. Like if you guys saw my last videos, I had one gentleman almost kill me, break my armor, and obviously I pulled the shield out and kind of gave my armor time to regenerate, and which threw him off because then now he can't. You can try to shoot through the shield, but I mean, with 13 million health, it's not gonna be instantaneous, right? So I'm gonna have a few seconds to, excuse me, to kind of get like repositioned and all that. Now when I do run my shield, I like to use the named pistol Mozambique just for the talent. Landing body shots adds a stack of 70% headshot damage to the next headshot. Max stack is 2. So 140% headshot damage on top of 110% already. So we're talking, I mean, what, 240% on top? 250% headshot damage. So it's a nice little pistol to have. Um, But yeah, that's pretty much the build, guys. I know a lot of you wanted this video just to kind of get an idea of the build. Like I said, it's not perfected yet just because I've been out the game for literally years. I just got back to the game. Obviously, you can see my expertise level is only 2. The max I think right now is 27. So I have a long way to go. But this build so far has been a lot of fun to use. I did swap the chest piece out and I tried, for example, like perfectly efficient. Obviously, you can see my rolls on it. And this one does give you that plus 1% armor regen because it's a Bellstone chest piece. I've run chest piece with, Unbreakable. Um, man, that one red core and the bleed with the talents on my weapon and backpack, just it in my mind, right, it made a big difference with my damage output because I was fighting NPCs and I'm like, man, when I'm wearing 6 blues, I'm like, I cannot kill these dudes fast enough, right? My armor regen's great, don't get me wrong, but I'm uh I'm usually a DPS player, so this is a new build for me. This is something I just kind of wanted to try out. But that's the build, guys. Obviously, you can run it how you want, roll it how you want, play with different chess pieces, play with different backpack talents. Remember, Wicked gives you 18% damage. If you put Creeping Death, you have a little bit more crowd control and a little bit more survivability. Um, so that's the build, guys. Try it out. Come back to the video, comment, let me know what you think. I'm always interested in seeing other people's builds and trying to get different kind of ideas put together, brainstorming. But remember, it's all about synergy, right? It's all about synergy. The chess piece, obviously, in itself is nice for the bleed. The talent synergizes with the chess piece. This talent synergizes with the chess piece. The mask synergizes with my pulse. So it's all about synergy, man. That's really what it is at the end of the day. Oh, I gotta level up my pistol. I forgot expertise. Um, If you guys like the video, let me know. I have a lot of other builds I can kind of give you ideas with, and I can give you gameplay videos with. One build that I have been loving so far, I'll show you, is my Heartbreaker build. Obviously kept the mask on for my 8-second pulse, using decoy. Same thing, 6 blues, 1 red, like the bleed. Still got the talent on my gun, got the talent on my vector. Running this for the +1 skill tier and the linked laser pointer, which um, pulses targets at which it's aimed. So while your pulse is on cooldown, which is only 8 seconds, so you can obviously run whatever you want. But with this particular build, I'll probably make a video on this next. It's been great so far. I've honestly been loving it more than my Armor Regen build. But let me know what you guys think. Like I said, if you want another video or you want me to kind of give you a breakdown of different ideas, just let me know, man. Like I said, I have a few in here. You know, you want to farm in peace, you don't want to be bothered. I got a system corruption build, 100% pulse resistance. So you will be a ghost in the dark zone with something like this. So yeah, I mean, like I said, let me know, guys. Obviously, I got memento builds, I got striker builds, I got, you know, Hunter's Fury build. Same thing, I got the bleed. Um, but yeah, comment some of y'all's videos. You know, if y'all have videos, or comment, you know, your ideas, and let me try them out, man. I'm a big fan of trying people's ideas. I like brainstorming with people. Let me know, man. Let me know. And hope you guys like the vid. Like I said, I'm not, you know, I'm not some big YouTuber and make content on the daily and upload, you know, 3 times a week. But I did have enough people request a video, so I figured. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm showing out the wrong one. This is the build. Um, I did have a lot of people. I say a lot. It was like 4 or 5 of y'all. But I also had people like on Facebook asking me. But yeah, let me know, guys. This is the build that I love so far. Great survivability without sacrificing too much DPS. Um, you know, but let me know. If you want another video, if you want a video on the Kingbreaker set, let me know. You know, drop a comment. And also, I don't, like I said, I'm not a content creator, so if you do comment on my YouTube videos, I'm not like actively like waiting for notifications to pop up, right? So just bear with me, guys. But here's the video you guys requested. I hope you guys liked it. If I missed something or missed explaining something, let me know, and I will comment to you or make another video or edit the video and you know, explain what it was I missed. Or but that is my build for Armor Regen. I love the synergy, I love the bleed, I love chasing people in the dark zone. So if you see me and I go rogue, I am so sorry. It's just part of the game. Don't go in the dark zone and not expect to get you know, attacked. um Target loot AR in dark zone west, I believe today is AR. So it's gonna be a very active dark zone. Obviously, people trying to farm for Bighorn and Eagle Bear and stuff like that. But there you go, guys. That's it. Let me know, and hope you have a good one. Peace.